Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ranting Atheist podcast. Today we'll be listening to a recording from the Clubhouse archives, and this was titled The Loneliness of Atheism. You know, as an atheist living in a highly religious society like Nigeria, it gets lonely sometimes. You have friends, family, but everybody's thinking as it just looks somehow to you now, like your mind has changed and you are seeing things differently, and you're just like, come on man, what is all this? It gets annoying at times, frustrating, the bullshit that people keep engaging, like self-torture sometimes, like you just like and from the different form of discriminations that have their root in religion, whether it's sexism, misogyny, homophobia, queerphobia, transphobia, like you just like what is this? It gets tiring and very lonely. You're just there in your head and you're just face palming in your head and just like, what the fuck is going on? So people bring their different experiences and perspectives on that, and it was a fun conversation. So this will be part 1. Part 2 will come in the coming weeks. So that's how we'll finish up this particular topic. If you're yet to subscribe up, Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and other places that podcasts are available, please subscribe up. Then check out the links in the show note below for links you might find useful. So now let's go and listen to the Clubhouse room that was titled The Loneliness of Atheism. Yo, what's up?
I'm like driving, so I can't really talk all that.
Oh yeah, focus.
Atheist, you should feel lonely too.
Yeah?
Maybe you should go to church, you know?
Yeah. We did the vibe for church.
So what's the lore behind the title?
What?
What's like the reason behind the title? Like, come and share your experience. Like, what happens? Like, the fact that you can't talk to anybody about the things that you...
I know, it just came to mind. Like, it feels lonely at times when you are surrounded by religious people up and down, and like
so the way to hear your voice is low. Yesterday you were just shocking our ears. Anyhow, what's going on with
you? You can't hear me?
We can, but
it's very low.
It's lower.
Very low.
Yo,
yeah, quite low.
It's better now. What up now?
I mean, it's fine
low.
for me. It's a little low, but it's fine, sure. Like I can hear you. It's just compared to yesterday, between one bus start here yesterday, then today it's.
Is this my car that's doing this?
At the end. I feel hear you though. I think it's okay.
Even now, safe.
It might be our car. I think it's.
Yeah,
I have my headphones on. It sounds.
It's really giving, you know.
I mean, Zara, what do you think?
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it can
be better.
Were you referring to the mic?
Yes, my audio.
Mic is fine. It's I think it's Hillary that sounds like a lot of background noise.
Okay. Hillary is driving here.
Yeah, in the car.
Yes, let me put you guys on speaker.
Okay.
Okay.
I was wondering, yeah. Yesterday.
All right, guys.
I wasn't in yesterday's call, so if you can enlighten me on what was talked about, what was discussed yesterday.
Oh, we didn't really say anything. But actually, I want to share something, and I'll just go on mute. Is that, like, honestly speaking, there's a lot of benefits to being a believer, right? One, atheist people are more likely to commit suicide, stuff like that, right? Because, like, a lot of times, like, hope in a better world, in a better life, is tied to, like, your God or whatever it is, right? So, even if bad things are happening, you still have this hope of something better because you believe there's a God. And that's something that's actually kept Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians think. Like, think about all the horrible things that's happening in Nigeria. In a regular country, we should be having, like, worse suicide rates, right? But we don't. Nigerian people are very positive. They can lift you with anything. And just to show you that, like, as long as people have this belief that there's something going on for them, even when horrible shit is happening, it's a very powerful thing. And to let go of that, it's let go of that safety net, right? So I really do think that, like, as atheists and all that, like, you really need to protect, like, find something to believe in. Let me just say that. Find something to fucking believe in. Because this world, like, as a Nigerian speaking, is fucking dark for us. But yeah, find something to believe in. It's terribly lonely. You can't talk to anything about your experiences. Because as people have already hold, like, their religion as their faith, their hope and everything, that means any question you have for that religion is going to be met with fight and all that, right? So
Yeah.
it's so complicated. And I can't blame Nigerians for doing that when they very, like, protective of this religion, because it's tied to their hope. Like, imagine, it's like a typical Nigerian is to really think about all the horrible things that keep on happening in this country. They'll just kill themselves, honestly. Because it's sickening.
You know, so like I feel like it's a double-edged sword, right? Because I kind of agree with you in that it gives people hope, even though it's a false hope. But then,
even false,
yeah, but it's almost like on the other side, I kind of feel that people who know better, right? I feel like a lot of these like mega church pastors, like I want to think Adeboye, the redeemed guy, whatever. I want to believe that he's very aware that he's running a scam. You know, like I don't believe for a second that he truly believes what he says, right? Like like he's fake.
You never can tell.
to be a good pastor, you must not believe in God, no. So
yeah. Like I mean, this guy said he like.
Wait, I'll come back here. Let me.
Yeah, this guy said he literally drank tea with God. Like I don't think anybody. I don't even think he believes that. You know, like he clearly made that shit up. But I kind of feel like it's a double-edged sword, right? Because in a way, right, it's easy to kind of oppress people and keep them subdued by promising them a better afterlife. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you kind of told people that, oh, this life is all you have, right? And currently they're suffering. And before you told them this, they were hoping that, you know what, I might suffer in this life, but, you know, one day, like I'm going to get to heaven and, you know, I'm going to have a mansion and all this other stuff. They might revolt, right? They might be like, okay, wait, if I tell them this is the only life that I have, you know, then I need to make the most of this life. And, you know, like I can't just sit back and let you guys keep ruining my life for me. Like, you know, so I kind of feel like, yeah, on one hand, it gives people hope. You know, on the other hand, I feel like it kind of subdues people. Like I feel I don't know if this is a conspiracy or not, sure, but like I feel like the reason why the government lets like these religious people keep scamming the citizens is because it plays into their hands, right? Like, you know, you see stupid things like a governor telling you to pray for a better tomorrow, a president, you know, like imagine if in America there's a problem, like, you know, cost of gas or whatever, and a president's coming out and saying like, oh, like pray that God fixes this. You know, like no one's going to take that shit because it's like, this is your job. This isn't God's job, right? So, you know, I kind of feel like, at least in Nigeria and maybe other like developing countries, right? Like it kind of plays into the hands of politicians and whatnot.
No, I agree with you, yeah. Like the thing that happens,
becomes that.
Like, yeah. But the thing that happens in Nigeria is very much sinister. Like, think of any movie, yeah, when they're like American government is evil. That's Nigerian government times 10. Like, the way in which things are done is to keep people complacent. So we agree that, you know, religion gives people hope. Take that away that hope, they're left with nothing. But to take away that hope, they now know that if I die, I die. Oh, like if I die, that is it. That is the end. And that means, I have to make the most out of everything. I cannot allow people to continue to do things that they do, because there is no greater justice or whatever. There's only this what's happening now. Like, so even the way they don't teach history, I heard some schools even ban history. History is not something that's taken very seriously, and it's like, but it's important for children to know the Nigerian history. And I had like a great ass man say on Clubhouse, the Nigerian history is so boring. And like, excuse me, is Nigeria?
What?
Well, Nigeria is not fucking boring. You know the mad shit that's happening in this country. I'll show you that how much control. I don't know if it's deliberate or just by nature this thing happened, or the way in which you are being fed this religious dogma, and they're also not being taught your country's history, even your tribe's tradition and history. There's no reason why you learn about your history in like once you grow up. You learn about your culture's history when you grow up. When you should be learning this shit in your school. Nigerian people have a lot of pride. That pride doesn't translate to how we train our children.
I feel like I learned more about Nigeria history from YouTube and Netflix.
Yes.
So maybe I wasn't paying attention in school, but I'm pretty sure like what I learned through YouTube and Netflix, no one ever mentioned that shit in school at all.
Yeah, and like, honestly, it's just like, okay, that's just my own conspiracy theory, right? But that thing needs to die. Like, how can school be say that they're banning history in Nigeria when Nigerians have a right to know their history? They should know their history. Because if they did, they'll understand why they should be fucking mad. Buhari came into power how many years ago, right? He was a piece of shit then. And then the same Nigerians went to go and vote for him again. Like, how is that possible? Because people don't know. It was in his second term. My mom was like, hold up. I remember Buhari from that time. I was like, which time? He's like, yeah, one time he took power. I was like, what? Like, yeah,
it's not a mistake.
Yeah, it's not. Honestly, it's very much planned, and Nigerians need to wake the fuck up. Like, and one of these things is, I don't know if like, atheism is not the thing that's going to save all of us, because I believe that even religious people can have sense. Okay, everybody can be stupid. Everybody can have sense. It's just that the way in which that religion is taught needs to contain. Because if people are using it for their own benefits, to take, my face is here, but to take like control of others, yeah, then there's a problem. I think that's my only issue with Christianity is it's so easy for people to open a church and brainwash people and to like make them believe these things and make them like fear their family members, make them fear their neighbors and all that. Like, push this is everybody's out to get you mentality. But you know me, I'll pray for you, I'll take care of you and everything. And so give me this money and I'll do a miracle on your head. Nah, like
it's really fucked up, man. Like, fucking hell. You stand back. I don't know if anybody saw. There's one the video I posted yesterday about the super falcons. You see, what's that name? Plumentia, baby. What's that name again?
I'll right back.
There's one Africa's woman like that in the team where they were shouting 20 hallelujah. The way she just stepped back, she embodied the way I usually feel like you just be so weak. Like,
it's like being in a sea of insanity. It's like like
you just like, don't you people see this thing? Like, are you guys fucking kidding me? Like,
you know what blows my mind, or what kind of, I won't say triggers or bothers me, is when you try to tell somebody that like you're not being rational, like you're trying to explain to them like think about this shit, and then they're telling you that you're not rational.
mm-hmm.
They're telling you that like you're the one that's crazy.
Of course,
there's just something about a crazy person calling you crazy, and it's just like really.
You are the crazy one because everybody crazy is normal. So sanity is insanity. Everything is inverted. Like fucking hell. Sarah, you've not said anything since. Zara, are you there?
Hey, sorry, I missed that. What was that? I got a call.
Oh, okay. I said that you've not said anything else to the topic, Like, is if you like this whole atheism, it gets lonely sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that 100% because I think even just as Black people, I think obviously most of this conversation is probably geared towards Nigeria, but I think it's like the same everywhere. Maybe it's not as rampant, but when you're born, into an African household, let's say, or even just a Black household in general, wherever you are, the UK, America, Africa, the Caribbean, wherever you are brought up, you're kind of, it's almost like religion is a part of the culture. It kind of just overlaps, and it's almost like disgusting or shocking or just very outlandish when you don't believe. It's almost like, people always want to incorporate God into their conversations, and they think it's okay to just be, talking and, anyhow, and putting scriptures into everything and just putting God's name into everything and, almost assuming that you believe. Just because you're a Black person, they assume that you believe, and I've definitely experienced this living in the UK, and definitely I think it's probably even worse somewhere like Nigeria. It's almost like, how can you not believe? It's almost a part of the language, of the lingo. We just assume that everyone believes, sort of thing.
Yeah.
To actually voice that you don't believe, it's like, even back when I was a Christian in the past, I can say that my view of atheism was, people that, didn't believe, and they're devil worshippers and they're evil and they're going to hell and all of those sort of things, all the negative sides of being atheist, whereby I wouldn't even really call myself an atheist now, but I just know that I don't follow religion. I don't believe in God as a man, praying to God, oh, he will do this and he will do that. No, he will not, sort of thing. That's the way I sort of see it. But yeah, I have definitely experienced not really much support from a lot of people around me. I think I probably have one friend who is, again, not really atheist, but kind of understands me, okay with me not believing. But when it comes to like, my family and stuff like that, they're just like, oh, it was just one bad experience that you had, you shouldn't throw the whole religion away just because of one bad experience or what have you. And it's like, it's more than just one bad experience. It's waking up to the fact that, oh my God, these people are actually lying. I think Hillary was saying earlier, these people are very aware of what they're doing, and it's almost like we can't partake in that delusion because we know, he is not coming to save us, that sort of thing. And that's the sort of that there is a sort of comfort to believing or deluding yourself that something or someone is going to protect you from evil, or going to do this, or going to give you rewards in heaven when you die or whatever. There is some sort of comfort or whatever to that. Yes, I'm poor, yes, I'm broke today, but God is going to do something about it tomorrow. I don't know when he's going to do it, but he is going to do it. I just have to believe. I just have to have more faith. I just have to pray more. I just have to go to church more. I just have to sow a seed more. I know God is going to do it for me eventually, even though over the past few years, you've seen that God hasn't done anything. So, yeah, that sort of delusion, I think, is almost freeing for atheists, in that that you don't have to live under that delusion. And that, whatever you're getting tomorrow, whatever you're doing tomorrow, whatever you're manifesting tomorrow, that you possess the power to do that. You're You're not putting your hands, your faith in, some man praying for you. Oh, daddy, lay hands on me, so that this will happen. Lay hands on me so that will happen. Like, listen, I ain't got to waste no more money. I don't need to waste any more money for anybody to lay hands on me and be giving me prophecies, So I think it's sort of freeing in that aspect, but definitely there is no real sense of a community. I think that's the thing, and I think Hillary mentioned that earlier as well. There is no sense of community. There's no atheist sort of gathering that everyone goes to, sort of thing. Whereby with church you do get that happy clappy delusional. Yes, God is going to do it for you, sis. God is going to do it for you too, bro. Whatever. Like, there is that sort of community, which I think is definitely lacking in the atheist community, and it's very difficult for people to, get to grips with the fact that you're not a devil worshipper, you're not a bad person who hates people, who kills children or whatever. You're just a person that doesn't believe that, some man in the sky is coming to save you or give you all your heart's desires, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Like, there was something you said. How did I just forget? There's also something else added to this. Yes, some atheists have let's say PTSD to gatherings, in the sense that if we even gather now, we say we want to start gathering to feel like a church, and it can trigger some people's RTS, religious trauma syndrome. So it's a kind of flip side too.
Not the religious trauma syndrome.
Yes, now.
Why would you gather as a church? That's not useful. I don't know. I feel like we shouldn't exchange one cult for another, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's something we should avoid doing. That, of course, I love the fact that I'm in the atheist, but at the same time, it's like, I understand how easy it is for people to lose out of things as the years pass by, right? So even if you might have the right intention that, I just want to make us come together and talk about that issue, eventually it's going to lead to something. Knowing Nigerians, it always leads to something.
Yes, that's true. Then who's next now? Let me see.
Is it me or Hillary's mic was very muffled? I could hardly hear her.
Yeah, she's outside. That was just on the road. Yeah, that's what
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, maybe once you have the road to calm down. Ade, how far? Are you available? Ade? Okay, Agent Smith.
Yo, the Ranting Atheist.
What's up?
Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Wow. How are you guys doing anyway?
We're great. We're good.
Praise the Lord. Can I get some?
Please don't trigger PTSD here for some people.
But seriously, right? I still don't get this idea of like how people get to be traumatized. Like, seriously. All these seeking for what do they call it, therapy, like that. Maybe someone gets into a bad relationship and then it will say that the person needs therapy. I still don't understand that aspect anyway, but that's by the way. Yeah. So speaking to the topic, the loneliness of atheism. Yeah, it can be really cold and lonely, because due to the fact that majority of the population would say are, brought into believers. And then we can even confirm that most atheists, started up as, believers right from, their upbringing. And then at the point, they just, observe that things were not adding up, and then boom, they got out of the whole, delusion, right? But then there is one thing that I appreciate about the delusion, right? It has its own like good side. It has a good side to it, like in the sense that with delusion, you get to be should I say, happier. You know, you get to do things that, ordinarily you wouldn't, you might feel like you can't do. It's like it gives you a kind of like false self-confidence that gets you through doing things that ordinarily, you would think you can't do. So yeah, part of the loneliness and the drawbacks of atheism is, you tend to rationalize, and rationalizing things can sometimes have a way of like, hampering, making you kind of like doubt even yourself, if you understand what I mean, right? So I would say we need like we need some kind of like delusion, seriously, even if maybe not in religious beliefs, but in some things. I just feel like that delusion, like it's necessary. It's necessary to enjoy a part of what we call, life as it is. Yeah, I don't know whether it made any sense, but
Well, why a delusion? Why do we have to delude ourselves in order to? I don't see. I don't
Because
see
human
the sense
very
in this.
like people, yeah, like I think people underestimate just how fragile human beings are. People can die from heartbreak, like that's the thing. People can die from embarrassment. People can die from like being too sad. Like you can die from sadness. Like that's how it's almost like I see with some type of fairies, right? That die from the littlest of things. But it should shock you the kind of crazy things. Someone has died from laughing too much. There was once a dancing plague, then a laughing plague, then a regular plague. Like human beings are very, very fragile. And so like it's very easy to break somebody if you do it enough, right? I would say though that having a proper Nigerian community of atheists, yeah, it's like it makes sense, but then we might end up being called devil worshippers, right?
Well, I feel we can. There's a model we can follow. It's just that it's going to involve money. We can follow these people that we usually watch online. We come together to create content.
I think making content is not a bad idea, honestly. Like we can have a whole discussion, right? And then just
Yes,
talk about it online. And maybe also like
all things, record it, post it. Exactly.
yeah. And
To
we
answer
let's
your
put
question, to answer your
Nigerian.
question, oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. You can continue.
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Who do you want to ask a question, Curtis?
Yeah, you said, why do we need delusion, right? Which is an interesting question. I think you said that in response to the previous speaker. I think it was AJ.
Why
yeah,
delusion? Why not something based in reality that we can all?
So here's the thing, right? Like that's almost like it's almost like asking the question, like what's the evolutionary need for delusion in the first place, right? But and if I were to answer that question honestly, I'd probably say something like, think about what it means, or think about what it takes to be competitive, right? Think about what it takes to move into the future move into an uncertain future, right? Psychologically speaking. Like imagine you first step in the NBA or, on the soccer field, the football pitch, whatever. And the first team that you encounter has Ronaldo. It has all of these, let's say, high profile athletes that have tons of experience, yet you have to step up to the plate, right? That's sort of psychologically equivalent to stepping into the unknown, stepping into a future that to you at the same time might be daunting, right? But in some sense, to even take a step and not be paralyzed by what's possible, you have to be a little bit deluded, right? You have to have a little bit of a belief that what is likely not possible can be possible if, you know what I mean? And I mean delusion in a measured way, right? Like, obviously, you're going to take the time to put in the practice, to put in the work, but there's still a gap of belief that you have to overcome in order to step into the unknown constantly. I mean, you can alleviate that anxiety through practice and through confronting the future consistently and proving yourself in those grounds. But it's almost like stepping out of the airplane when you're skydiving, right? There's like no amount of training and prep that can almost put you over the edge where you have to say, okay, now I have to, you know, rely solely on, and I don't mean that you don't have good reasons to say that to inform you that you're going to be safe or likely be safe, but that gap of now overcoming the anxiety of stepping out into the unknown and the sort of letting the world wind down as it will, given your preparation, is almost like psychological equivalent of a delusion, right? Stepping into something that you're not certain about and then trying to conform reality or trying to change it into a habitable space that's not going to be anxious when you move into it again. So I think that's probably the psychological, something along those lines. That's probably the psychological need for the delusional state of mind. It's more of a practical thing, but I think it gets taken out of a context and then applied to, let's say, religious beliefs of a certain kind that motivate cultic attitudes. And, you know, when you think about even how they use the language of faith and belief that something's going to happen for you, it's language that an athlete might think, you know, a rookie athlete that has all of the ability and all of the physical attributes and the work ethic in the world has to confront in order to kind of step in front of like a LeBron James or a Kevin Durant or something like that. You know, it's almost like they have to hype themselves up to do that, which in an appropriate context seems to make sense and seems to be like, yeah, there's something that I have to overcome that many don't necessarily believe I can do, but you have to almost believe through the unbelief. But people apply that to claims about how the world is more broadly. And then I think that's where it becomes dangerous.
Yeah, I get your analogy with the basketball analogy. The way I see what you just described is the way the delusion of religion takes you so far is where you believe you're like Kevin Durant, 4'7". That's what I feel religion does to people. That's the level of religion wherein you are totally incapable of achieving this, but religion in that cycle.
But that's not true.
Takes it.
Like, everybody has options of what they do. Can you guys hear me?
It's hard to hear you, Israel. It's hard to hear you. Sure, you unplug. Israel, are you there? So after Israel, Esther.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
I don't know. I have, shall I say, an unpopular opinion concerning the topic because me, I'm the kind of person that likes being alone for like most of the time. So that's why it's like, speaking, I can't really speak from personal experience because if people reject me, I'm like, okay, that's a normal thing. I can just get on by on my own. But I understand that for other people, the alienation one feels when they've deconverted can be really difficult to get to deal with. And I think it's even interesting that a lot of us in this room, not all of us, but a lot of us in this room are kind of young people, like between our 20s and 30s. And to an extent, we kind of have it easy. And what I mean by that is like, the more I think about it, the more I think that the older a person is, the much more harder for the person to deconvert. And the reason why I say this is because the older a person gets, the more their religious community grows, the more they are intertwined with their religious community. The more they have more duties and responsibilities to whatever church or synagogue or mosque or whatever they find themselves in. And when you've done something like that for so long, especially decades, there's this thing, sunk cost fallacy tends to take place. So even though you eventually come to the realization that this religion I'm practicing is not given, basically, you kind of find it difficult to deconvert because you start taking into consideration the social cost of being the outcast, basically, because you know how your own community deals with or talks about people who are on the other side of the argument, so to speak. And for a lot of people, just that fact alone can just be enough for them to stay within the religion. And I think it speaks to how human beings kind of we generally tend to underrate social connections and how socially wired we as human beings are. So when it comes to this thing of being alienated because of your unbelief, even though I personally don't relate, I can understand it because it can be very destabilizing for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people get jobs from churches and whatever. They get, even in cars, and basically there's a lot of support that goes into these religious communities. And for you to say you want to disassociate yourself from all of that, yeah, that's a very difficult thing for a lot of people to do. And it's even difficult to even ask some people to do, when you're having religious debates with them. So when people deconvert and all of this is gone, all their social support and their social structure is gone, I can understand the heavy toll it to take and why they might need to form a new community. And I might sound a little bit, should I say, privileged in saying this, but I think as a man, there's some kind of what's the one? I don't know if it's, but I think as a man who is an atheist, there's some privilege I get in the sense that when it comes to me wanting community, it kind of makes sense. And why I'm saying this is because when I talk with women who are atheists, especially when their reasons or the inciting factor for them living was usually abused by the church or church elders or church officials, such people usually tend to find it difficult after they've left to try and integrate into other communities, especially communities where there's a hierarchy of power or structure. And that's what I'm saying, like, as a man, I kind of sound privileged in this, but even at that, there's still, for a lot of people, there's still the longing of wanting to commune with people who share your similar values and stuff like that. So I think there's a quote I came across on Twitter some time ago, which said that community isn't something that is it's not something you stumble upon, it's something you create. So I think there are communities where women who have left religion tend to find each other and just share their stories, and they get to make new friends and new support structures with people who share their similar values and stuff like that. So it sounds very simplistic to say that community is like the cure to the loneliness and alienation of atheism, but yeah, I would say it's one of the best solutions. It's kind of important for especially us as atheists to try and find people who are like-minded, because it's not just to talk about beliefs, but it also serves as a kind of booster in society, in the sense that when you're having certain issues, like I gave the example of how some religious people get jobs through their religious communities, things like housing or vehicles, or even things like child support and stuff like that. So when we have our own equivalent of that, we don't necessarily need to meet in certain places. We don't necessarily need to have the same hierarchical structures that a lot of these religious institutions have for us to just get by in society. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. My dad is calling me. Absolutely.
All right.
Is it my turn
So
to speak?
yes, Esther.
Okay, how are you, Ranting? So the gentleman that was speaking made he said a few things that I'm going to completely disagree with. He said I might agree with the fact that most of you all are between 20 and 30. I'm over 40 years old. My first son is 19. My first child, when we used to go to church, he could never understand why. He could never understand what the idea was. As much as we tried to force him to go with us to church, he just would not comprehend what the need for going to church was. And over time, he slowly just started. I used to feel really guilty bringing him to church, and he didn't want to be there. And I felt bad because I felt like I was not doing my job as a mother, right? You're supposed to recruit your children into this religion. Otherwise, your children will go to hell. How can you be in heaven having a nice time up there and your children are burning in hell? But hey, I could not convert him. I just couldn't. So my children, two boys, I have two boys. My children are a big reason why I'm an atheist today. I think in conversations with them, they ask me questions that sometimes I feel like, okay, goodness, these are questions I never asked. My son was 9 years old when he came to me and said, my younger son, he was 9 years old when he came to me and said, Mom, I do not want to be a Christian anymore. When I asked him, why don't you want to be a Christian anymore? He says, Mom, we're told that when Jesus died, there was blood everywhere, and he was killed he was upset that why would the one who was supposed to save him be killed in that manner, and he doesn't like blood, and he just could not. He was 9. Mom? I'm coming. Just give me a minute. Wait, but I have something to tell you. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. And so I said to him, we're Christians in this home. And, here was I trying to cajole him to being a Christian. I was saying to him, oh, but you like Christmas, right? He said, yes. You like your Christmas presents? Yes. Oh, but you do realize Christmas was because of Jesus. And he was looking at me thinking, gosh, what's this woman saying? Is she not understanding what he was trying to tell me? But at this time, I was still a Christian. I could not understand, where he was coming from. And so these are the things that got me questioning. Okay, so these boys, one just doesn't care for church. He would rather play football on a Sunday. The other one, 9 years old, is starting to say, I don't want to be a Christian. So I started asking the question, so why Christianity? Why do I believe what I believe? And the more as I was asking these questions, more questions were coming. And before you know it, I had no choice but to break away from Christianity. So one thing I did was my older son. I apologized to him for forcing him to church with us, right? I saw the error in my ways. I apologized for the times that we forced him. And also, I thanked him for never buying into the bullshit, for never subscribing to, and there was something he said to me. He said that when we were in church those days, that when the pastor is quoting from the scriptures, for some reason, those scriptures just, just, they all felt fake to him. They didn't seem like they were real stories. They just he could not understand how people believed. He said to me that he would see us nodding our heads while pastor is talking. And he'd just be thinking, gosh, these people must be deluded, right? He was young, but he figured it out. And so my 19-year-old is a lifelong atheist, and I don't think there's ever going to be a chance of him ever converting to to religion. So when I came away from religion, boy, I felt like I describe it as a loss of identity. I was 40 years old, exactly 40, when I came away from Christianity. I'd gone 40 years of being a Christian. And now, who was I without God? God was in everything. You wake up in the morning, thank you, Jesus. You go out, God, take me out and bring me back. You lose your keys. God, please help me find my keys. You lose documents. God, please, God was in everything. And here I was. I realized that the God story is completely false. Right. But the good thing is I live in a very secular country, unlike my upbringing in Nigeria. But now, many of my neighbors are secular. Many of them have never been religious. But how are these people good people? How are these people decent people? Now, I've come away from religion, and, these people cannot relate with me because they've never been religious. And so I had to look for my local humanist group, right? The humanists are people that, just they do not subscribe to any form of religion. And I found community. I found some form of community, but they're all white people. I'm the only black person. And these people cannot relate. Most of them have been lifelong atheists. They've been lifelong humanists, right? They can't, they don't get it. They just don't get it at all. And so that's why I've got to come to spaces like this, where there are fellow African atheists who get it, who can relate. We can share stories and we can, rub minds together. Now, that gentleman who spoke before me said, the older you get, it's more difficult to deconvert. I agree, but I would say I am, I deconverted at the age of 40. And it's never too late to walk away from these religions. But then someone was talking in the chat. Someone spoke here and was saying he did not understand why people go to therapy. Really? When I came away from religion, I went through a deep depression. It was really bad because nobody around me, everyone is still religious. Everyone in my family think I'm going to hell. Now, even the humanists that I relate with, those ones don't get it because they had never really been religious people. So I felt really alone in my world. And therapy helped. And when I say therapy, I specifically went to secular therapy because, religious people also have their version of therapy. But I had to make sure it was very secular. There's no God and and the focus was put on me. Focus was put on you've got the answers within you. So please do not take for granted what therapy can do for people. And I thank you all for creating this space. I thank you all that I dream of a day like this where I can have this kind of space with all of you. Well, some of you may not necessarily identify as atheists. I'm an atheist through and through. And, the fact that I can have this, and I'm hoping that, we will have more and more of these conversations, more and more of this gathering, but not to start to form anything like church. The day anything starts to feel like church or feel like, people are starting to dictate to me what I should and shouldn't do, that's the day I say no. So yeah, that's my submission. Thank you.
I'm back. Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
All right. So can I make my submission? Because
Quickly, yeah.
okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with delusions. Like, just because we see a problem, a flaw with the faith system, doesn't mean that having faith or belief or anything is like a bad thing, right? Like, okay, I have delusions. I have delusions that Nigeria can get better. Okay, I know, Ranting, don't say anything. I have delusions that,
Come again?
I have delusions that, things will get better for black people, or I have delusions that, people will respect black people one day, stuff like that, right? I have those delusions. And it's like, you have to have a fucking dream first, right? Before you can make shit happen. Because this is a thing where I feel like, there's a lot of atheists committing suicide, right? I would say that's the only thing. Like, also being ostracized and not having a community, like, affects you as well. But, we're actually in the trenches. We are in the trenches. We are, honestly. But, I have these dreams that, I believe that we can do better. I believe we can make it. These things are foundations of what is to come. If you have no dream of what is or what your vision is in the future, then what's the point of anything, right? The very idea is that when you die, that is the end. You turn into a rotting corpse, and then your cats will eat your body, right? And then you'll be used for manure for the trees, whatever the fuck. That is the deal, right? But whilst you're alive, there's so much you can do. So having that belief, having these quote unquote delusions of a better tomorrow isn't a bad thing, as long as it's not making you complacent in suffering. Like, if anything is making you complacent in a place where you are just suffering, that's a problem. Like, for example, your husband's a cheater. You have delusion that he will get better. But as you are praying or you are hoping for the better tomorrow that he will change, he doesn't. He keeps on getting worse. That's when there's a problem, right? Because anything that makes you in a constant state of suffering and keeps you there is a problem. But having a dream, having delusion of something working out for you, I think is important. I saw a thing about the basketball analogy, right? And it's like, you should dream to be better than Kevin Durant and more. Like, dream for it. Because dreaming does not cost anybody anything. It's okay to dream. Being an atheist doesn't mean you should now lose all hope and all that shit. Like, no. Being an atheist means that you should be more aware of certain things in your society that is used to control people, and that's it. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone said, Wolf, I have a dream. Fuck you, Israel. It's okay.
See, I feel we are confusing having a dream.
No, but then think about
Let me tell you what delusion is. I'm a very unfit human being. Like, I have pot belly and fat as fuck. You want to tell me how to the Kevin Durant? Like, that is fucking delusion. That is pure grade A delusion of like, have no ability.
Okay,
you understand? So do you get what I mean? That is what religion preaches to people. They tell a short motherfucker that they can become LeBron James. That has no ability.
There are some short basketball players now.
4-7, please tell me about what.
Yes, there's one like that. That is always
4'7". Iverson is 6 foot swan. The only boy that's trying to look at Iverson and say Iverson is tall. So that's what I'm just that's just what I'm that.
okay. Well, I agree to that
Those
extent.
that's you having the ability. You're a rookie, but you have talent. It's for you to work hard to get to the level of LeBron, Cristiano Ronaldo. But if you're someone that has no skill, even to hold the ball or whatever, you are fucking deluded to try to. You have the physical stamina. That is what religion always does to people. People that are not fit for jack shit, they tell them that they can do this, and they don't even they don't tell you that they need to put in effort to get to what they want. See people expecting what they call it. Say this week you get alerts from where, how, just like that. What have you done to earn such alerts? You shouldn't be afraid if you see random
Your
alerts.
helper will come.
You know this kind of delusion. That is what we call delusion. That's what religion preaches. So having hope, being having a dream, that's not a delusion.
Okay, that's the one I agree with you on that. Like unrealistic delusions to make no sense. Like
Exactly. So
I was in church and they were talking
forward to
about
that can be achieved by hard work.
I was in church one time here and it was like, oh, your helper is coming to save you now. This time, like, who the fuck is this helper, bro? Like, I've not seen one single helper this whole entire time. Like,
I feel you. So let's go to the next person. So
yeah, sorry for the rant.
all right, now we go around. So okay, are you there?
Yeah, I am, but to be honest, I actually don't know what to say because everybody's story seems to be very intense, whereas mine is just not as intense. But I want to say to Esther that I find it so cool that your children had such a great impact on you becoming an atheist because I wish I had that impact on my parents. But when it comes to my parents, they know I'm an atheist. They're not really religious themselves, but they tend to like hold on to this Christian term. So whenever I tell them I'm an atheist, I feel like they don't take me seriously. They just like tend to ignore or pretend or like they just I don't know. It's never really talked about. But yeah, like I think it's very cool that your children had such an impact on you and that you were able to like question a lot of things because I think if more people would actually start questioning things as opposed to just adapting them based on the fact of based on the fact on that's what they've always known or that's what they've been told. If more people had those questions kids usually have, I think that would make a difference. As for the actual topic, loneliness, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm lonely because I don't know, like most of my close friends are atheists and most of them are Nigerians as well. Um, I don't know, like, um, yeah, like I wouldn't say I'm lonely. But when it comes to like, okay, so I'm in Germany, right? So there's always like this urge to be a part of, like a Nigerian community. So when I'm not amongst my close friends, when I have to like reach out to other Nigerians, once they start talking about going to church and, because that's where they all meet and that's where they all kind of link up, when they start talking about things like that and I tell them I'm an atheist, there's usually or like a like, oh, you're too westernized, you're too this, you're too that. And like I don't know, there's usually like a comment that I don't really appreciate. But when it comes to that, like I tend to like just match the energy. So if I'm being ridiculed for my lack of belief, I tend to like ridicule them for their lack of belief. I have like religious friends as well, but I don't know, like I can't say I'm really close to them because there's this I don't know, I don't feel as free talking to them about like particular topics, especially when it comes to like the religious friends that I have in mind are both women and they also identify as feminist. So whenever we're talking about like feminist topics sometimes, like it's very difficult for me to actually have like a genuine conversation with them, I tend to like take a step back because, you know, like I don't believe you can be a theist and be a feminist. But then again, like they're not my only friends. I actually have like closer friends who share the same beliefs. So I don't know, like I wouldn't say I'm lonely. As for what else, friendship, family, yeah, when it comes to family, yeah, like my parents just tend to ignore me. As for my brothers, like we're never religious, you know, like even in Nigeria we rarely went to church. So like my brothers don't care as well. Like I don't know. When it comes to relationships, I don't know. I'm talking about romantic relationships. I don't see myself being with somebody who's not an atheist. Um, I don't know. I feel like before I used to have like this mentality of, you know, as long as you don't impose on me, everything is fine. But I think I'm getting to a stage where I think it's just very important to talk about the danger of religion, especially now that I'm realizing that theists tend to impose no matter what. In terms of like the Roe v. Wade thing that just happened to the US, that got me thinking a lot because like there's this party CDU here in Germany as well. That is actually the party in which Angela Merkel, the last chancellor, was from. And it's a like CDU means Christian Democratic Union, so it's still like very conservative, very rooted in religion. I don't know. I don't think political parties should have that kind of power. Of course, like, you know, people are always saying, you know, Western countries are more like secular states, but still, like, I don't think we should, like, to me, that is just too much of a risk. That is enough reason for me to be very vocal and more vocal when it comes to like atheism and talking about like danger that comes with religion, because like I don't know, like it's actually a real danger. That's how I see it now. I don't know any kind of religion that is not oppressive and does not preach like those oppressive oppressive thoughts. I don't even know how to explain, but oppressive beliefs. So I don't know any religion that doesn't do that, especially like Christianity, because there's just this belief that, you know, everything is good when it comes to Christianity, especially like in Western countries. So like it's easier. Just look at this video. Like the audacity, why? For what? Like, of course I was laughing, but if I were to be there, like I would just be so irritated because what the fuck? Like from where to where? Like okay. So anyways, I think these are things like Christians have this sense of because our religion is perceived as good, we're just going to like shove it down everybody's throat. There's a lack of respect when it comes to actually acknowledging that not everybody abides by this particular belief. Um like I think that like you can ignore that when it comes to everyday situations, but when it comes to like policies, I think that is where the danger stems, and I think that is why we need to be more vocal. Coming back to the topic again, I wouldn't say I'm lonely because I have like my small community, but um yeah, like yeah.
So nice. Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much for sharing. Like, I feel you. Who's next? Onyeka.
So sorry, guys. I want to ask a question, if it's okay, to everybody, if anyone has an answer.
I have a strong feeling, so I may have to. Okay, let's go around and come back to you.
All right.
Onyeka,
Hi,
are you
can
there?
everyone? Ranting, can you hear me? My
Yes, we
network.
can.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah. Ah,
Okay,
carry
now.
on.
Well, I think everybody's everybody's story has been has been wonderful, and you know, well, for me, going straight to the topic, the loneliness of atheism. I left religion. I stopped being a believer about, this is 2022, around 3 years ago, 2019. And when I left, I was going through some sort of depression, and I was even contemplating suicide, and some loads of bullshit, because normally I don't I love being alone. And when I have whenever I have an opportunity to meet people, I love enjoying those moments. So when I discovered that the whole facade of religion is just bullshit, it was difficult for me, because almost all my friends, family, they're all religious. Everything was just religion, and my life and culture was just intertwined in a way that I don't think I could ever separate it. So the whole process was very, very dark. And I remember a couple of months after I said, no, I'm no longer doing this shit, I was still having some kind of bad dreams where I see myself going to hellfire. I see myself going to hellfire, and I'll wake up with this kind of feeling like, oh, so is hellfire still real or what? So you get, and coming to the present now, I think I feel perfectly wonderful. I think I have a couple of friends. My closest friend is not an atheist, but we usually bash religion together. We talk about shit religion does to people. Today we are even talking about this guy that created an app for prayer. I saw on Twitter today. So, so it's just, yeah. So the loneliness yeah, it's real. Especially considering the fact that I lost, I think, about two babes, because I told them I don't go to church, I don't believe in God. I lost two of them, and Sundays for me, I just step outside, play football, and enjoy myself. Even the football say we have to start with opening prayer. When we start with opening prayer, everybody would start drinking and smoking while talking about the girls they slept with yesterday, and we still come back and say our closing prayer. So it is what it is. I think I'm done.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Please consider subscribing up Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and other places podcasts are available. Then check out the show notes in the links below for any links that you may find useful. Have a great week, and I will catch you on the next one.